Welcome to Life in the 1900s Newspapers, where I read the real, actual words from vintage newspapers. Today, we're in the 1920s, and in that era, Rudolph Valentino was the main heartthrob of all the ladies. Rudolph Valentino was the silent movie king, with his movies The SHEIK and The Son of the SHEIK. Today's newspaper issue is the Martinsburg Journal from Martinsburg, West Virginia, dated March 26, 1929. Did you know that in the 20s, the newspaper was your main source of information and news? So sometimes you would have more than one paper in one day. This is the 4 o'clock edition. And this newspaper costs 3 cents. Complete transatlantic flight. Captains Francisco Jimenez left and Ignacio Iglesias, Spanish aviators, beside the plane Jesus del Gran Poder, which they brought to land safely in South America this morning, after a successful flight across the South Atlantic from Seville, Spain. They were bound for Rio de Janeiro, but landed approximately 800 miles short of their objective. Return milk bottles. Milk bottles cost the Dairyman considerable money. In Martinsburg today, there are considerably over a carload of bottles being held by milk and cream clients. We would appreciate the return of these bottles and will be delighted to call for them if our patrons would telephone us. Farmers Dairy Incorporated. Now playing at the Apollo, Last Times Today, The Barker, from the Broadway play that received more praise than any show in the last 5 years, a First National Vitaphone picture, synchronized sound effects and dialogue. Starring Milton Seals and Dorothy McHale. This flapper alert's worthy of 2 vintage car horns. The fabulous Dorothy McHale. Apparently, Martinsburg, West Virginia, only had one theater, the Apollo. This advice column reminds me of how much times have changed. Dear Annie Laurie, I have asked your advice before, but find a question in the way. You said I should have a talk with my father about going with boys. I have talked with him, and he thinks I should invite the boy up to my house before I ever go on a date with him. I think it would be rather embarrassing for the girl if the boy should ask her for a date and instead she invites him to her home for the evening. What do you think? Signed, Brown Eyes. Brown Eyes. Certainly you are not thinking of meeting the young man outside your home, my dear. And I cannot see where he would be offended if you extended the invitation to call on you in your own home. Your father is quite wise in wanting to know the young man with whom he trusts his daughter, and any young man should be proud to have such an invitation extended to him. Clear, clogged head. Dangerous germs may enter through mouth and nose and lodge in delicate membranes. Keep nasal passages clear and antiseptically clean. At the first sign of clogged nostrils or stuffy head, apply a little of Ellie's Cream Balm in the nostrils. Chicago, Illinois, March 26. Mephitis. Say, what does it mean? A racehorse, disease, or a queen? George Root, a chauffeur for the roadie towing service, had just towed a car into the garage. Although it was 3 a.m., he telephoned the boss. There is, he telephoned, an animal in the garage. And what, inquired the boss, do you expect me to do about it? Start a circus or something? Root, I am no mood for frivolity, snatched up a ball bat and set about the business of dispatching the animal. He discovered at once that he must swing the bat with one hand, the other being occupied with the pressing of his nostrils so tightly that no aroma whatsoever entered therein. The Mephitis, in an incautious moment, wandered in the path of the bat, and his demise was accomplished. I'll be down as soon as my clothes come back from the cleaners. Have you no regard for the cleaner? Shouted the boss. As for you, I suggest you take the day off. Go for a walk in the fresh air, and be sure it's fresh.